school. Do we really have to do school or go to school? I've been thinking about this, especially when I'm out with the girls and people are like, oh, where do you go to school? And they're like, we don't. And then you get first of all, oh, you don't go to school, look in their eyes before that light goes on. Oh, you homeschool, and I realized that, we are sort of very much we should be going to school. Even family members will ask me, don't you think that the girls should go to school, and have that school experience? They're missing out. And I'm like, on what? Less opportunities to play, less opportunities to learn what they want to learn. I mean, really, what does this mean anyway now that we should be doing school or going to school? Look, yes, I actually really enjoyed going to school when I was young, well, more high school, probably because I had to do with music. But, and yes, I became a teacher. I've done 2 teaching degrees and I've been in classrooms, but I have become a little bit disillusioned with it, which is why, I am homeschooling my girls, though I don't have anything against schools because we need them. We really do, because you have to do what works for you. But what does this really mean, to go to school, and can we not do school? Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you for joining me today as we look a little at homeschooling. Can we really do school without going to school? Look, we know that homeschooling is on the increase, and more families are realizing that there are different ways of educating their children. There are so many even different styles of homeschooling. You can be more school at home, and some people like that. To the other side, unschooling, and so many different things in between. That's what's great. We get to choose what is best for you. And if you want structure or you want more freedom and flexibility, guess what? You can do it. You can actually do school without going to school. And I think that's wonderful. I love that we have these options. I also love that we have different types of school as well, if that's what you need to do. But it does make me think, we really do sort of fixate on school for our children and our teens. And it's are there ways that we can do it? Look, I love exploring these things, and I love bringing these videos. And so I thank you for watching, for your likes and for your subscribes. And check out some of my other videos on homeschooling, on unschooling, and some of the different sort of educational systems and methods. There are options. We don't have to do what maybe you were raised up in. Yes, I was at school, kindergarten all the way through year 12. And yes, I enjoyed it. I went on to become a teacher. I have taught many different grades, many different things. And, I look at it and I'm like, does learning have to be in a brick and mortar sort of building? Does it? Where have we sort of come to that? Follow the history, research some of the history of it. It's actually very interesting. When we sort of came and when people started regulating, that you have to go to school, what was there beforehand? Can we come back to some of those options? What are the options? We can embrace child-led learning. Yes, I love child-led learning, and very much unschoolers, that's what leads and guides. But for many homeschoolers as well, we want some of that child-led learning in there, allowing our children to explore interests and their passions. I know I love watching my girls sort of really engage in their curiosity, and I love giving them opportunities to explore and to discover new things. And so with our child-led learning, we can be doing that. And of course, we want to surround our children with books, good books, educational materials and learning stuff, art supplies, lots of art supplies, and resources that are going to line up with their interests. One of the things that we really want to do is to encourage them to pursue their interests independently. So we want to sort of get them going to self-directed learning. And so when we are really using that and following their lead and their support and supporting them, we really are giving them a good learning journey. There is also online learning. You know what? We know technology, like I love it. I love how much is out there, and it still blows my girls' minds that I went all the way through school without computers, without being able to ask information online. There are so many number of like online platforms, like virtual schools. You can have fully accredited, you can like pull in different ways, full curriculum. This is great, and many of them do cover like kindergarten all the way through. There are so many great online options, but you also don't have to use the full curriculum. You could use parts of it. You could go on and be using like what you really need from there. There are so many great resources at our fingertips that we don't need to be going to school. Now, I know that there are people who feel that if you have your child at home and they are doing like one of these like online public schools, then you're not homeschooling. I don't subscribe to that. You are at home. You are still able to connect with your child in a different way than if they are at school. But really, anywhere there's an internet connection, you could be learning, and your children. We want to encourage those real life experiences. Okay. We learn so much by doing, right? Like if you've been traveling and you've tasted those foods and you've smelt those smells, it really is something that you take a hold of better than just like learning through a book. Well, we know like with unschooling, it really provides all of those opportunities to learn through real life experiences. But even if we're not unschooling, we're doing other forms of homeschooling, we can like do those hands-on activities. We can visit museums, like do workshops or classes. We can connect like with people who are, have this great education in a field of interest, like all of these different things. These real life experiences provide valuable learning. And to me, it also like helps to cultivate that love for lifelong learning. We don't have to like separate things. That there's book learning and then like, let's say cooking, that there's so much that we can learn there. And our children don't always have to be thinking, well, this is my time for learning and this is my time for playing. It's all interconnected. And so if we can be having these real life experiences and getting out there and doing, if you're studying trees, get out among the trees. It's really going to help that to make those connections and then hopefully to really cultivate that love of lifelong learning. Of course, we can be using tutors and mentors, okay? There are great private tutors who can provide one-on-one instruction, especially if maybe it's a subject that your child is struggling in and you really don't know. There's online tutoring, there's face-to-face, like in-person tutoring, and this can really be extremely helpful. But I also love like using mentors, like somebody that you can sit and ask those questions of. I remember when I was doing World War II through year 11 and 12 and just being able to sit with some people who had gone through the war and to hear their experiences, it really made what I was learning even more alive. And if your child has an interest in something and you can find somebody that can help them, that will like teach them, like help with that passion, providing all of that feedback, then this is really wonderful. And again, we get into that connection. We get this learning that's not happening in a classroom. And of course, we want to like foster and really have like that supportive community. Homeschool co-ops are great. Or if there's not ones around you, like, do you have like other families that you can connect with, that you can share like the frustrations with, or like just to be able to bounce off ideas. But, if you're in a co-op or the group of families, because it doesn't have to be anything formal, well, you can get together and do things. You have shared experiences. You can do like some subjects or projects together that, is always better in a crowd and maybe not so much as like one or like two doing it just like on your own. And really this provides like support for both you and your children on this wonderful like learning path. And so now looking at like these 5 ways, this is great. We don't have to go to school to be learning. Maybe, homeschooling isn't the right term. I don't know. I just sort of I keep thinking that, like, is it home learning? Like, what is it? Just as we look at this, again, not knocking schools, but we don't have to go there. You know what? When we can support our child's natural curiosity and interests, like, we have this freedom and this flexibility in our learning journeys. And so I really do feel that we can totally do school. We can totally learn. We can totally get that education. We can totally find out this information and learn these skills and develop these skills all without going to school. But I do want to say, remember, you need to know your state's requirements and regulations regarding homeschooling, okay? Because you might want to think, I just want to go mortar unschooling. And if your state has a lot of requirements, you might not be able to. So I do just want to bring that out. Yes, I think that we should be doing what works best for us and our children. But remember that we do have some requirements and regulations depending on where you live. So thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for being part of this learning life. I do enjoy bringing these videos out, and I believe, yes, we can all be learning without going to school. If you want to help get these videos out, that would be wonderful. You can do it by becoming a champion, and you can check that out at patreon.com or at my website, LearningThis.Life.